work session is now called to order. I do ask that you silence your cell phones and please keep your sidebar conversations to the absolute minimum out of respect for the work of the town. I would now like to invite Pastor Baker to the podium to lead us in our invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please stand and join us if you choose to.
Please join me in prayer. Gracious and loving Lord God, let me say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today at the beginning of our Thanksgiving week. We thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our calling, for our sustenance, and for friendships that you have enabled us to enjoy. Father God, we give thanks to you for the freedoms that we as citizens of this great nation enjoy. We thank you for this nation, our state, and the community you allow us to live in. Thank you for loving us from your boundless and gracious nature. Loving Lord, we come in prayer for our mayor, for the various levels of our town officials, and in particular for this assembled council. I am graciously asking that you grant them wisdom to govern amidst conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and righteousness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, and personal peace in their lives and joy in their tasks. I pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved town of Spring Lake. Is it in your most blessed name I pray. Amen. Amen. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor, will you tell the audience, your church, please?
Oh, yeah, I'm the pastor of the First Presbyterian Church over in Spring Lake. You guys are all invited to visit us on Sunday at 11 o'clock.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I will now call for any additions or deletions to the agenda. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I'd like to add a presentation by Armand Caroline.
We will add that right after our code enforcement presentations. We will be 7B. Any other additions or deletions? I'll now entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Commissioner Chadwick?
I make a motion to approve the agenda with the added presentation by Armand Jones.
Commissioner Palacios?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I will now entertain a motion to approve our consent items, and that is the draft minutes of the November 10th regular meeting, budget amendment BA 8 for FY 2026, the amended rules of procedure, 2025 resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Spring Lake declaring surplus personal property, and Military and Veterans Affairs Advisory Committee application to appoint Terry Chirula. Commissioner Chadwick. Commissioner Lackman.
Second.
Any discussion? Is this for Mayor Pro Tem? You have discussion? Oh, no. Okay. Commissioner Lackman.
I do, Mayor. Thank you. With great news, I'd like to tell you that Terry Trillo has joined our Military Veterans Affairs. It has been a struggle to get people. We finally have a full complement of members of the Military Veterans Affairs Department. So with this application, I am thrilled to say that my work on this committee has come to fruition. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll move on. We're going to bypass public comments. We didn't have anyone sign up. And we will begin with our first presentation. And this is Code Enforcement. Code Enforcement Officer Sergeant Sterling Baker, Town of Spring Lake, and he is our newest addition to the police force. And we are super glad to have him here, focusing on code enforcement.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Wonderful.
If some of you, I have met
Can you
some of
pull
you.
the mic?
Ma'am?
Yeah, just pull it, there you
How y'all doing tonight? If some of you I have met, those that I have not met, it's supposed to be, it's a pleasure meeting you. Got a couple things that we're gonna cover tonight as far as this code enforcement program goes. Excuse me, one quick second. Got a mind of its own. Okay. So, as you all may know, we began phase 1 of Operation Green and Clean on November 13th. I really think we have a really good thing going. I'm going to start with number 1. The green is going to be everything that was in compliance on that day. For number 2, the red is going to be the violations of miscellaneous junk vehicles parked in the right of way, junk piles, high grass. The black is going to be no violations. And when I say that, when we begin on that day, I advise everybody, if you couldn't determine if something was a violation, still put it in. I would be the final say if it was a violation or if it wasn't. The blue is going to be everything that was cultivated within a week time span. The total green on that day, we had 318 residences that were in the green. Which I thought that for Deerfield, that was pretty good.
Let's go to your field.
Total red, we had 120 violations. And with those 120 violations, we had 45 junk vehicles. We had 5 vehicles that were parked in the right of way. We had 40 junk piles. We had 30 high grass. After a week's time, once I followed up, there were about eight no violations after review. There were 10 people within a week's time. They actually self-abated. But keep in mind, during the week, I was able to close out 10. But this is an everyday thing. When I tell you, when I come into work, I have about 5 to 10 voicemails every day. People that are trying to fix things. And like I tell them, I will work with you in any way I can, which they have 12 days. But I'm very understanding that we have some people that they're on fixed incomes. We have some on the elderly that I do grant them more time. But this being phase 1, I'm very pleased with how things have been going. I mean, I'm telling you, people have been blowing my phone up on a daily basis. They're like, Sergeant, look, can you please work with me? Can we please make this right? And, which, but we've been getting a lot of it. But on that day, we had 32 town employees that were split into teams of 4. During that day, there were a total of 438 homes in the Deerfield neighborhood that we all checked. According to my calculations, 27.4% were not in compliance. To me, that's not bad. I mean, yes, we have a lot of work. Yes, we have a lot of work to do. And which zones 1 through 4, it's one of those zones to where yes, it needs some work, but it's not as. But zones 2 and 3, those are the zones that yes, we want to focus overall, but zones 2 and 3, those are the main zones that I tend to try to focus a little more on. But, let's see here. And the card will go a little further down here. Here you guys will see on that day, these are some of the things that we dealt with. These are, those are some of the junk piles, abandoned cars. But like I said, yes, we have a lot of work to do, but I like where we're going with that. I really do like it.
That particular junk pile is gone.
Yes, that particular junk pile is gone. Yes, ma'am. But I really think we have a good I really think we have a good thing going. It's just a fact. It's just a matter of us keeping our foot on that gas. Any any kind of questions like that?
Commissioner Lawson?
Thank you, Mayor. Sergeant Baker, thank you very much. This is, your attitude seems to be very infectious and a great start to what has been a labor of love for this town, trying to assist the residents in cleaning up the town and letting them know that we care.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you working with the folks and making Spring Lake a better place. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Foster?
Thank you very much for doing this, and all the town staff that stepped out that day to make this happen. It's a big deal for us, not only for the town staff, but it's also good for our citizens. I think that most of this was hopefully an educational piece. I think, as I think John says, it's education, versus fines and fees. And so I think that us being held accountable is a good thing. So thank you for doing this.
Yes, sir.
I also want to thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
This is my focus group, so that means we're making progress, and I look forward to seeing what the other groups look like. But my question is, how are we, like the places where they're not in neighborhoods, how are we going to handle those?
You're saying like any kind of property, let's say like a vacant home or something like that, or?
No, like it's not in a neighborhood, but it's just on the street. A couple houses on the street, it's not in the neighborhood. Will they just be done based on their zone?
They will be done more so based on who the property manager is, who the owner is. Cause I'm real big on having a conversation. Like me when I'm riding around and I'm patrolling and stuff, I'm actually knocking on doors. Like for instance, about 2 weeks ago, I was out on the King Street off of Mid-Cornick. I did a little bit of research. That area there is zone 2. That area. I did a little bit of research on it. After a couple of phone calls, I had the property manager out there. I had the landowner out there, and we went from home to home, and we knocked on doors, say, look, this is where we're at. This is what we're dealing with. So it's one of those things, even though it's just me, I always go that extra mile. I'm actually getting out of my car. I'm not just sending out all my letters. I'm actually having detailed conversations with people.
This is such a good thing. I couldn't be more excited. And like Commissioner Blasquez and Mr. Rory both said, it's absolutely educational, because oftentimes people don't even realize that they are in violation or the consequences of what they're doing. And sometimes it just needs a little gentle nudge to say, hey, we care about our town and we want you to care about it. And we feel that from you. And so I'm super excited to have you on board and can't wait to see what comes from these additional zones. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions?
Any other questions or comments from the board? No. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you for your hard work.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we'll move on to 7B. Mr. Armand, you have a small presentation.
I do. 2 weeks ago, Commissioner Lackman told me, I want you to have this certificate that shows everybody that the town really cares about what you're doing. I'm pouring in on the first card. Martin Lackman has been a great leader for MVAC. He's kept us straight, kept us in line, come up with good ideas. He's also helped the town with the cleanups that we volunteer for. And I also appreciate the mayor and this town council, because I've spoken to past MVAC from years ago. They said they quit because the town wasn't supporting them. This commission is supporting them, and that we appreciate. But, Commissioner Lackman, if you come join us by the flags, we'll have a presentation.
Let's check this out, folks.
You can get close now. Yeah, zoom in now.
So I'll make sure this spot thing out. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
That is so cool. Yes, yes. That's it.
Let's be, we like to show as well.
Well deserved.
There it is, sir. Commissioner Lackman?
I'm speechless. Thank you.
Again, thank you for your dedication, and it shows, not just in how much they care about you, but the way the veterans, not just in our county, across the state, has recognized what's happened right here in Spring Lake, so, thank you. Awesome. I will not get choked up on before me. All right, we'll move on to, our new business, and we'll begin with, agenda item 8A, our budget amendment, BA 2 for FY 2026. Mr. Overton?
Good evening. This budget amendment is for our Fund 99, which is Spring Lake Property Acquisitions. That was not included in the original budget because that's a separate component unit of the town, and at the time it didn't have a board. For just a little background, Spring Lake Property Acquisitions owns 160 acres of land on Manchester Road across from Fort Bragg. That was purchased for economic development 4 years ago. They borrowed $3.5 million from BB&T Governmental Finance, which is now Truist Bank, in order to buy that land. Of course, they defaulted on the loan and have not paid it back. We did a budget amendment earlier in the year of $500,000 to loan some money from the general fund to Spring Lake Property Acquisition to get some of this caught up. Spring Lake Property Acquisition had not paid their property taxes or their solid waste fees to the county for the last 5 years. And Mr. Rory negotiated a deal with Truist Bank to settle that $3.5 million debt for $450,000. So we purchased that note from Truist Bank. The town of Spring Lake purchased that note for $450,000. Okay, and our lawyer is now in the process of foreclosing on all that property to get it transferred in the town's name. Once that is accomplished, which should be in the very near future, then we can put that land up for sale and reimburse the town for all of this money. This budget amendment is for the Spring Lake Property Acquisition Fund, to show sale of capital assets, proceeds from the sale of land, $500,000. Now, I don't know what those proceeds are going to be. Hopefully there'll be more than that. We all have already sold one lot for $75,000. We used that $75,000 to pay the back taxes and the solid waste fees, so the county is now paid in full. The reason we did that is so we could have clear title to all of this land when we get ready to sell the rest of it. Okay? The other part of this budget amendment is for the $450,000 that we paid in accrued interest for the last 4 years, and the remainder was applied to the principal. We only paid $194 on principal and $256 on interest. That left a balance on the loan of $2.9 million, which was forgiven by Truist. So this budget amendment is to record that transaction where we paid off the county for property taxes and solid waste fees, and where we purchased the note and paid off the $450 on the principal and accrued interest.
Any questions or comments from the board? Commissioner Lackman?
Mr. Overton, thank you. I know this has been a endeavor that has been painstaking, tedious, but necessary. So I want to thank you and the staff for the work that you've done to get to this point, so that we've got this unraveled, so that we can move further forward. Thank you.
Well, sir, thank you for leading the effort to clean up this property so that we can sell it, because nobody would have wanted it in its previous condition. So,
Mr. Porter?
Yes, if it's, assuming y'all want to approve this, which I know y'all haven't really discussed yet, but this would just need to be amended to say, be ordained by the Board of Commissioners of the town of Spring Lake. I'm actually looking at the.
Oh.
It says Board of Directors of Spring Lake Property Acquisitions.
Yeah, I think it's just a typographical error.
yeah.
But, yeah, I just wanna make sure it doesn't get actually, like, you don't just say approved, and then that's what you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Just technical correction.
So when we call for the motion, I'll make sure we indicate the change from Spring Lake Property Acquisitions Board of Directors to Board of Commissioners. Yes. Any other questions or comments from the board? All right, I'll now entertain a motion to approve budget amendment BA2 for FY 2026 with the amendment changing Board of Directors of Spring Lake Property Acquisitions to Board of Commissioners of the Town of Spring Lake. Commissioner Palacios.
So moved.
Commissioner Blackman.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That is a very unanimous motion. Motion carries. Awesome.
Thank you.
This is Spring Lake Property Acquisition has been kind of looming over this board since we've taken office through the LGC. It wasn't until Mr. Overton and Mr. Rory came in and took charge of this situation that we were able to move forward and turn this into a $3.5 million deficit to a potential asset that can serve the town of Spring Lake in a very, very good way. So I am very grateful for diligent work that our manager and staff has put into, and I want to also echo those sentiments to Commissioner Blackman. Thank you for cleaning up that area. You'll be going out to send out some special thank yous for that, and I'm sure you'll discuss that later. Absolutely. Whew. All right, we'll now move on to agenda item 8B, Spring Lake Art Survey results and use of municipal arts allocation. Commissioner Palacios.
Thank you, Mayor. So every fiscal year, the town is given a stipend or a allocation rather from the Arts Council of Cumberland County Fayetteville. And we endeavor to use that money to help beautify and maintain, you know, the town and do whatever we can with that $4,000. And sometimes it isn't enough, and sometimes it's more than enough. And so I'm glad that we've been able to use it the last couple of years. So the point of this survey was to engage the community, kind of get some input on what to do with this money. We had questions recommended by the Appearance Committee and approved by this board. We published that to various outlets. It was open to all who live, work, shop, and travel through Spring Lake. And we had a grand total of 30 surveys completed. So our computers almost crashed with all those surveys. So in any respect, we do appreciate those who were able to complete it, because even though there were few, those voices matter. So here are some of the results. I didn't put all the results. What is your connection to Spring Lake? 57% live in Spring Lake. And then you have all the way down to Appearance Committee member, I paint murals, I visit Spring Lake regularly, and so on. How long have you been part of the Spring Lake community? The majority of them have been part more than 10 years. Would you prefer to see funds go towards blank? And you see a two-way split there for several smaller projects around town and a mix of art and community engagement events. And then how would you rate the mural so far? We had 20 give 5-star reviews and a couple give 1 and 2-star reviews. I'll find you later. And what type of art projects would you most like to see funded next? And so we have a wide array, but the outstanding numbers here are purple for beautification projects, benches, plants, and so on. And then blue, new murals on local buildings, etc. So a lot of these were good ideas, you know, and even if we can't tackle it this time, I think there's a good opportunity to address some of these things next time. If we could only fund one project, what would you choose? We had a new mural, number one answer, community art event or festival. You see some of these other options of public sculpture, art workshops, benches, and then a town clock. Someone even put that. So that was pretty neat. Now, we do have a art sculpture in town, for those who don't know. It has not been placed because we're waiting on final approval from DOT. We have the location already, and we have the art sculpture, so that'll be going up soon, and hope to get an update soon at some point when I'm no longer on this board. Review. Okay, so the Appearance Committee met November 12th to review the results and discuss the viable options. This, again, was open from October 20th to November 1st. One plan was recommended to present to this board for consensus, and the recommended plan includes 2 projects. So we're able to do 2 different things here. The first option was a small mural on a donated business wall. The committee recommended Boyd's Gibson Engraving as the donated canvas. And so we'll work out details later and then bring that back to you guys for final say. And then project 2 were 3 free library book boxes in Spring Lake. Locations to be determined, and they're also going to be paintable for the community. So these free libraries, are you guys familiar with these? These are great. They're up all over the place, but we want some here in Spring Lake. And so we were able to use this $4,000. The plan is to use it for both of these. It's reasonable, it's doable, so we can't wait to bring that forward. I don't know if I have anything else here now. Okay, so that's it for that, and I want to get your guys' thoughts, your blessings, concerns, etc.
Well, thanks once again. You have done an outstanding job with the Appearance Committee. Spring Lake, with the, Yard of the Month, although we can't participate, it's something I strive for, just so they can say, well, the mayor's trying, we can't vote for her. And I know there are others up here who do the same thing. So I am immensely proud of the art that's gone up. Art builds community. It gives a focal point for us to gather around, and with paying homage to our military background, to the one that's got the 4 different murals, which is probably my favorite, with someone in Spring Lake loves you. It's just been nothing short of phenomenal. So thank you for the work that you have put in with the appearance committee. That committee is very, very hardworking, and this just shows that we're on the right path. And so I can't express my gratitude enough for what you guys have done. And I really like these ideas. It wasn't a whole lot of people giving their thoughts, but the ones who did made an impact. So
Quality over quantity.
Quality over quantity. And this was definitely quality work. So I can't wait to see what comes, be it another mural. And when we see the sculpture come, and then these 2 projects, I'm an avid reader. And so I will personally frequent those free libraries as much as possible, filling them up and taking one out. So again, thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yeah, while you guys are thinking, we have a really good committee, and they're dedicated, they put in some work. And one thing I do need to mention is the town was just awarded another $7,000 for arts. So we put in a grant, specifically Cynthia Wilk, the chairperson, put in a grant, and we were denied the first time earlier this year, and so of course she was just like, let's just try it again. And I had little hope. I didn't have as much faith as she did, but so she put it in anyways at $7,000. We'll bring the specific details of that project later. Now that project, though, the scope of that grant is going to be to help elevate the new mural at Mendoza Park. That little stretch of concrete right in front of it used to be shuffleboard. And so the plan there is to get 3 local artists, this is the bird's eye view, okay? 3 local artists here in Cumberland County to have a different impact on that sidewalk mural, if you will. And to go towards marketing, marketing specifically to tell the story of the Spring Lake Arts Trail, but to also give out, fill in color pages to the local schools so that they can also have a connection to the art here in Spring Lake. So, any other thoughts though on this survey?
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
No concerns, so blessings?
Blessings.
All right.
It's called consensus.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Okay. We will continue on with agenda item 8C. And this is, thank you. Discussion regarding Fuquay Marina's interbasin transfer certificate from the state of North Carolina for water from the Cape Fear River. So I wanted to read the summary description on this before Mr. Rory takes it over. The town of Fuquay Marina is requesting an interbasin transfer certificate from the state of North Carolina to move 1.67 million. That's called dyslexia. I apologize. Thank you. 6.17 million gallons per day from the Cape Fear River Basin to the Neuse River Basin to meet its future water needs. Fayetteville PWC opposes this request due to the potential long-term impacts on water availability and the sustainability of the Cape Fear River Basin, which serves over 500,000 downstream residents. PWC is advocating that any interbasin transfer approval require the return of the water to the Cape Fear Basin, and is actively coordinating with local officials to express opposition through letters, resolution, and testimony. A public hearing will be held on December 4th, 2025 at FTCC, and community participation is encouraged. Mr. Rory.
Not much left to say. Except for that the public hearing is scheduled for December the 4th at 6 p.m. So we left the time out of here. And we are seeking board's approval to speak in opposition to the interbasin transfer. I will personally attend the meeting and carry a letter from the mayor if the board so desires.
Would you like to speak to, just in plain language, why?
Here's what it shakes out. You're gonna take water from here and put it over here, and therefore, these that are gaining are losing 6 million gallons per day. And in the long run, it'll be more gallons per day and more gallons per day. So by transferring that water from the Cape Fear Basin, it limits growth opportunity in and around Fayetteville, Spring Lake, because you're taking that water and sending it so that Fuquay, Corinne, can grow. Now, it starts off on the back page, and I will put this in there. Town of Fuquay, Corinne currently relies on wholesale water purchased from neighboring water systems. We are in the same boat. The only way we operate is to purchase water from PWC. So this has a direct impact on Spring Lake in that our purchasing capacity will at least be limited by 6.17 million gallons per day in the long run. And we'll hear more about that later.
So, this was for discussion, but I would like to entertain a motion to give him permission to, go ahead and we'll draft the letter and resolution, to be presented to PWC. Mayor Pro Tem?
So moved.
Commissioner Lackman?
Second.
Any discussion? Was that for discussion? Okay, got it. Commissioner Lackman?
Thank you, Mayor. Folks, this has huge implications for Spring Lake. You know, as Mr. Rory had mentioned, that's just the start. You know, Fuquay, Raleigh, all those areas are growing very fast. And so that 6.1 million will turn into 18 billion gallons of water. So if we have any hope of wanting to continue what we're doing here in Spring Lake, the growth that we've got going, the services that we're providing, we've got to be able to do that, starting with water and with wastewater. So if we don't take a stand on this now, we'll never catch up. So I fully support this, and thank you, Mr. Rory.
Commissioner Lawson?
Thank you, I agree. A lot of communities depend on the water out of the Cape Fear River, and this would hurt us and other municipalities a lot. Also, we have a conflicting event that day, so it's my understanding that you'll be presenting this at that public hearing?
Yes.
John, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I agree that we can't let this happen because, even though it says 6.17 million, what stops them from, taking more than that, and we can't afford that. We have to look out for our own, entities, for our own people, so this is a definite no.
All in favor for the resolution?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, we will move on to agenda item 8D, and this is staff recommendation to increase water rates to cover increased purchase costs from PWC. Mr. Rory?
This conversation actually began in October of 2024. Last year, around the same time frame, we started having conversations about what it means to focus on the maintenance and the reliability and sustainability of our water infrastructure and the cost involved with that. It's never getting cheaper. It's always getting more expensive. And it became the #1 focus area for our strategic plan. The safe, reliable, and sustainable water and sewer systems within our community. That's easily said, but when you really get down to the brass tacks and you start analyzing everything, the rate structures, the impact, what's happening, what's going on, you find that this is going to be a continuous struggle for years to come. So out of the focus groups, the strategic plan focus groups, we actually looked at in the development of a couple objectives, a few initiatives and things that we need to focus on. So I want to highlight those right now for focus group 1. The objective number 1 is to provide ongoing maintenance of system infrastructure through rehabilitation and replacement of capital assets based on regular assessments of their conditions. Highlighting number 2 and number 3, consider contracting with private operators to manage operations, period. Okay, just keep it going from there, ongoing assessment of maintenance. And number 3, for water and or sewer services purchased from the others, analyze lost revenues from system leakage and or excess costs incurred from inflow of stormwater runoff in determining what infrastructure maintenance replacement it must be prioritized. Those are just 2 key initiatives, but they're overarching, they're overreaching in terms of when you really look at the system and how all of it comes together. The second objective was to ensure that the utility is economically sustainable long-term by current projected customer bases, and when applicable, review opportunities for partnering with other systems. You will hear me say tonight that consolidation, collaboration is a necessity going forward. It's not an option, it is a necessity going forward. Number 1, perform a comprehensive condition assessment of utility system assets. This is where we actually began back in October. We have a grant to do what's called an asset inventory assessment, where it looks at our entire system. We've done smoke testing of our sewer pipes, we looked at water lines, but even that isn't complete and thorough enough to identify every liability that we have underground. We can talk in terms of miles of pipes and miles of sewer, but we really don't know about every valve that's not working and the things that we face. So, develop long-term financial projection for the utility, considering all aspects of operation and maintenance, as well as expected infrastructure additions and capital rehab replacement needs expected over the projection period. I'll talk a little bit about those tonight. Using current projected customer bases, develop a multi-year revenue requirement from customers as well as applicable borrowing strategies needed to fund projected system expenses. We need to have enough customer base to pay for the services, and we need to use debt as a long-term tool, which is something we currently cannot do. We cannot take on any debt. And when I explain that to you, we'll get a few extra slides here. I think it's enough to really knock your socks off. It does mine. It causes me to have a lot of stressful thought processes. We showed you this, the asset inventory assessment. We're losing about 30% of our annual water purchases to leaks. Okay? This is actually the same slide that I showed back in October. Okay? And so we're still looking at where we're at. But yes, it is less now. The team has made considerable strides in identifying and repairing a lot of leaks, but they're still out there. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But keep in mind that we're running out of fingers to plug holes. So we got to figure out how to address this issue whole scale across the entire town. We were talking earlier about code enforcement. We divided the town into 4 zones so that we can prioritize everything from valve placements to water line replacements in each zone. Not one zone is more important than the other. All 4 zones are part of the entire system. So we got to think about the utility of this, not in terms of a water and sewer utility, but utilitarian in terms of most bang for the buck and the most good for most people. And so that's why we need to focus on the main sizes and things of that nature. What that led us to was a proposal. Once it was proposed in October, it was reviewed in November, it was ultimately approved in December, and it was effective January 1st, and it was codified in our budget ordinance on July 1st or June 30th, depending on your perspective, of a 17% increase. The purpose of that 17% increase was to keep the math simple. What we're trying to do is take our entire revenues, if you will, associated with the water system, and add $500,000 a year into fund balance, and to add $500,000, that's objective 1, the capital outlay to replace these water lines. All in, that's $1 million. But due to a 17% increase, We only had to take and get an additional $806,000 because we had $200,000 already in the budget. That's the delta. That's how you come up with this million response. That took our water rates, our current water rates today, that were adopted and effective January 1st, was a flat rate of $10.64. And if you look at tier 1, from 1 gallon to 3,000 gallons, you pay $9.42 per 1,000 gallons. So it's not $9.42 for 3,000 gallons, it's $9.42 per 1,000 gallons. So basically, our average customer is 3,000, we'll talk a little bit more about this, 3,000 gallons per month. And so our average customer has a bill of about $38 a month when you look at the flat rate and the usage rate associated with the water system. So, what that means is that our average customer is getting water at 1.3 cents per gallon. And you just gotta think about that for a second. Let that resonate in your head. Because if you look at the bottom down there, the retail cost of 3,000 gallons of water from Walmart, I guess they get it from the Colorado River or some spring somewhere or something, I don't know. They may be getting it out of the faucet at Walmart and tapping it. But if you look at it from that perspective, you know, at $1.37 a gallon, for that same 3,000 gallons without the opportunity cost, you're looking at $4,000 a month. And you're getting potable drinking water at your faucet. I would like to say 24/7, 365, and all of us know that's not true. Especially Jason and the team that are out there addressing these water leaks and these water main breaks. All of us know that's not true, but you're getting it at 1.3 cents per gallon. That's a pretty big deal, Where does it go? How do you factor in those revenues to add into the budget? This is just a simple copy of your budget ordinance adopted July the 1st, just repeated here for just illustration purposes. If you'll see right there, it says the revenue and collection and billing division is roughly 15% of the budget. We're paying $800,000 a year to read the meters, send out the bills, and collect the dollars. Okay? Let that resonate for a second. We're paying $800,000 a year to read the meters and send out the bills to collect the dollars. So the meters are the cash registers for our system. So they are of utmost importance. They fund everything that goes with it. And you look at this other breakdown, a lot of things that people just tend to overlook is that 39% of it is to purchase the water. That wholesale water purchase coming from PwC, coming out of the Cape Fear River Basin, that somebody wants to take 6 million gallons away from us a day. Okay, so you got to be thinking about how those things. When the supply goes down, but the demand goes up, the cost goes up. So it's just simple economics. Water and sewer operations is roughly 21% of the budget, which is $1.2 million. You notice I got that one highlighted in red. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Let that number sit in your head. Water and sewer operations is $1.2 million for fiscal year 25-26. So to June 30th of 2026. The debt service is only 5%. Only 5%. All right, only 5%. So we've got some wiggle room there if we can get the authority to actually borrow something and use that as a tool to calculate and fix things. But then that's the other piece down there that's missing. You notice that 331, that's roughly 6% of the budget. That's equivalent to 4.5 cents to the general fund. The water and sewer utility fund transfer on an annual basis to the general fund roughly $331,000 in the budget. The reason for that is to cover cost overhead associated with computers, IT, electric, finance, HR, all the different positions in there. So, and that's actually a pretty low rate compared to a lot of cities. But still, in the absence of that transfer, now think about that. If you're not transferring 4.5 cents over to the general fund, then you're going to have to raise your general fund tax rate by 4.5 cents just to break even. We just lost $1.7 million of sales tax revenue. That's what you're trying to overcome. And this is how you just have to look at the numbers in simple terms. We've got to live within the math. We can't just make the stuff up. We've got to live within the math. But it is a balanced budget at $5,673,226. So this is what we're going to recommend. I'll talk more about it, and I'll say it again at the end. The Fayetteville Public Works is proposing a rate increase of 21%. It's official. It'll occur July the 1st. So what it costs us to purchase water effective July 1st is going to be 21% higher. So, in order for us to cover that cost, it's going to be, just on average, it's going to cost us another $288,000 a year. In order for us to cover that cost, we need to have a rate increase of about 10.5%. Now, I know that, some people go, well, it's 21% increase, but you're only recommending 10.5%. It's because of the difference between the rate that we have and then the bulk rate that we purchase it at. And so that's the difference, plus the timing is important. This becomes effective July 1st. We're recommending an effective date of February 1st. That allows us to get churning before that actual rate hike takes effect. And the Harnett Regional stuff, we're assuming that number is going to stay the same. I have a suspicion that the water rate that we purchase from Harnett is going to go up too. But I just haven't had any confirmation of that to this date. So I'm just speculating, but I don't want to talk about that in terms of numbers. But we know that 21% is real. So staff will be recommending the increase of our water rate by 10.5% to just and cover the 21% cost increase to purchase water. That's what all of these future slides that you're going to talk about comes down to. This is the recommendation. But when you look at this data, when these little inputs over the course of the next 10 or 15 slides, I don't even know how many there are now, this is where you'll go, oh my goodness, this is what we live with daily. Alright, daily we live with it. It's not just some emotional thing, it's data-driven decision making that we're trying to do. Our cost for our water purchase. You've seen this, it's been updated. Actually, finance updated it this week, today. You'll notice that the Fayetteville, the blue line, is going up, 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 up. Harnett's up and down a little bit, but it's pretty much flat. But the PWC rate is going up, 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 and the total is going up, 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 up. The reason 26 is so low is because we only have a year so far. We only do November. So it'll be higher. So the question becomes, why is the cost of the water purchase increasing? There's a simple math piece of this, that the water that we are purchasing, the volume is increasing. Not only just the cost, but the volume. Therefore, it's going to drive that the cost for us. And we purchase most of it from PWC. And I'm going to get this wrong, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds on it. But basically, we purchase it at a rate for like 20 million gallons. Then anything over 20 million gallons, we pay more. And then anything over 24 million, we pay more. And so the more volume that we purchase, the more we pay to do it. So it's in our interest to purchase as little as possible. So you go back to that very first slide where it says we're running out of fingers to stick in the holes and we're leaking out 30%. We've been addressing this the whole time, trying to figure out how to stop the bleed, and in this case, the water leakage. Stop the bleed. Just by math, numbers, I find this to be completely interesting. For whatever reason that you could think of, I find it interesting. The Fayetteville PWC in 2020, you'll see, was 198 million. In 2025, it's 280 million. Don't worry about Harnett Regional, right? But from 2020, PWC was 198 million. And 2025 is 280 million. So that's what, 82 million delta? And so anything over 20 million, we purchase more and more and more. It costs us more and more and more to do it. Now look at the customer account, same time period. You know, we've had some struggles with the audits and the numbers for 2021, 22. So that's why you got question marks on there. But the customer count is relatively static. So volume is up, 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 up. But the number of customers is flat. Why? What's going on? Why do we analyze this data? Year to date on our app, and this doesn't include all of them, we've had 136 water leaks reported on our app. And this is 6 months or more in the making here, right from January 21st, or whatever that is, what, 10 months, almost 11 months. We had 136 actually reported through the app. But just as of last Thursday, we had a 6-inch main water break. Our estimated cost for that loss of 1.3 million gallons is $9,000. Just like that. $9,000 we spent Thursday night for the loss of 1.3 million. We've got to continue to address these issues. Where has it went? What have we done so far in this fiscal year to address these concerns? We have outsourced service and repair costs to the tune of $515,000. Remember that first objective of $500,000? There it is. All right there. Repairs, fixing. How do we do this? And so, but that doesn't include that leak as of last Wednesday, 11/20, I think it was Wednesday, maybe Thursday. The staff internal water repair cost is about $334,000. This is when you estimate labor, materials, manling machines and materials, how you make stuff happen. So that's another significant cost. We also rolled out our meter replacement program. Remember I said these are our cash registers, and so they have to read accurately. So if you are purchasing 1 million gallons, but only billing for 500, there's a problem. All right, so we got to figure out, are the meters reading right? And we're finding that they aren't. There's a lot of old meters. So our first effort for this meter replacement program is to replace 731 meters. This is Route 23 and 24 respectively. They're also the highest number of meters. This is that utilitarian approach for most people. So we're trying to replace all those meters. Ultimately, the idea is to drive by and do meter readings instead of having to get out and physically touch the meter. And so that can reduce our labor cost in the long run about $300,000 annually. Because we're paying $800,000 to read the meters and collect the money. And so the technology is there. We can actually read the meter and never leave this building. That's what's called automatic meter, AMI. And so our goal is to move towards AMI, but it costs money. And so then year over year, you have to look at the labor costs associated with that. Outsource engineers. We do not have a public works director per se. Jason is filling those shoes right now in a separate capacity because the cost of the high water mark, if you will, for the public service director, salaries and benefits, about $120,000. So we're using outsourced contractors, in this case Myers Engineering, at a cost of about $90,000. So the net there is whatever you got, about $30,000 if you look at the savings on an annual basis instead of hiring someone. And it's working. They're our ORC, and they're also doing the engineering component for us. Pretty big deal. You'll see some of the grant costs that we're absorbing, also about $284,000. That is actually with Gill and Associates. They're the consulting engineers for our AIA and our MRF, and also some of our grant-based projects from ARPA and DEQ funds. I just got right past it. You'll notice the little chart there at the bottom. We usually look at that. You'll see the waters purchased versus the gallons billed. The blue is the waters purchased, and the orange is the gallons billed. We're still at about roughly half of what we purchased, billing for roughly half of what we purchased. Wastewater plant repairs. You'll notice this is from a storm from 2018. We're still making those repairs. I don't know why. We're still making those repairs from 2018, but we are. And so this year, the total outsourced repair cost for the sewer plant was $1.1 million. All of those are FEMA reimbursements due to the storm, Hurricane Florence, that we've been working on. Here's the good news. If you look at the daily average of water usage in April, 946,487. Look at the average daily usage now in November is about 623. That's a reduction of about 322,000 gallons a day, or about $40,000 in purchased water costs. That is the result of staff chasing these leaks, putting their fingers in it, replacing the meters. This is an ROI on all those expenses that you're trying to get a return on instead of just wandering around, daily or doing whatever you gotta do. We gotta focus on fixing these leaks and put all hands on deck. I can tell you there's firefighters involved, there's public works guys involved, their meter readers are involved, the street guys are involved. So all of our team is working on replacing and fixing these leaks and repairs. It's not just one division or one department. There is no silo. The summary of that, the only thing that's really important here is if you look at the total cost of the utility fund, right now is cooking in at about 1.159, 1,159,000. Remember that red line number I told you, 1.2? That means after 5 months, you got about $40,000 left to take you to June. That's why objective number 1 or 2, whatever it was, is so important, to make sure you put $500,000 in fund balance. It is critical that you maintain fund balance at an adequate level, or you will not be able to fund the repairs. You're going to pay one way or the other. So that's why the fund balance is so important. You will be drawing down some of the fund balance to continue to fix and repair these leaks, or you're just going to continue to pay the PWC to get out of the ground. The choice is clear. The capital component, this one I have asked for an opinion from our attorney today. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But this was an original $500,000 ARPA grant from the state to fix, and what it shows is Mack Street and Regina Drive. We had to narrow that focus down to where it really just became one street. And the first bid that we got back was $706,000, or roughly $200,000 over the 500K grant. The math don't work, okay? Now you notice up there it says that half mile of pipe replacement, 8-inch PVC sewer line replacement, 3 times. Different linear feet, or roughly about a half a mile of pipe replacement. So we went this and we started negotiating with bidders to try to figure out a price delta that would allow us to get this project in. And this is where we ended up. We cut out replacing the sewer line in 3 different links, right? So we saved about $130,000 by doing nothing. That's not a savings. All right, it's a long-term cost. It's going to be a liability that hangs around our necks like a brick trying to tread water. And so, but we did get the price down to $573,000. So we quickly recognized that this isn't going to work. So we had another grant of $300,000. So you take the $500,000 ARPA, the $300,000 DEQ. We got approval to combine those to come up with $800,000. So now we got something we can work with to do these replacements. And this is what we got. Mr. Rice, it's okay. Carly thinks that's funny. I don't really care. I think it's okay too, as long as they show me the money. It's all right. You can call me whatever. Send the money this way. You'll notice that the total cost is $659,000. But note that the notes combined ARPA and 2023-134 award is limited to $795,500. Remember the $800,000? Now it's limited to $795,500, which means we got $135 left over. Do you know what? We don't even know if we can add those sewer lines back to it now. So we're having to work with the state. It's the high probability it will be. Okay, it's just one of those pieces that you just have to kind of work and navigate with. And so we'll get an attorney opinion on it in terms of the bidding process and everything that goes with it. But that's just another part of the bureaucracy. We just have to deal with it. Asset inventory assessment. So that was one capital project. Just one capital project. All right. The AIA suggests that we have about $40 million worth of repairs, upgrades, and maintenance on the water system alone. Another $40 million on the sewer system, maintenance, repairs, and upgrades alone. We just did $1.some million of FEMA repairs. That FEMA money is going to go away. So you got to continue to fund those operational repairs and replacements over time, or you're going to end up with another nightmare. But this is the one that I've bounced around a little bit. I'm going to show you 2 thought processes. This is where you get really, really concerned. Let me say it again. This is where you get really, really concerned. If you have an identified $40 million need in water and $40 million need in sewer, but you only try to fund it $1 million a year, 500 in capital, 500 in fund balance, right? You do it $1 million a year, your break-even point is going to be 40 years. In 40 years, those underground liabilities become more than underground liabilities. There are cities who have sewer lines that are nothing but dirt caverns, okay? And so you gotta be concerned about it. So we suggested the possibility of doing a $10 million loan, 10 years. We just keep it simple, right? And so the annual debt service for a $10 million loan is $1 million. Now, keep in mind, we did the 17% rate increase to put 500,000 in fund balance, 500,000 in capital improvements. That's $1 million built into it. Now, so if you go now and take a $10 million loan for a 10-year term, you've already got that in the budget. Now, instead of spending it in cash on hand, you're doing it in a debt and you're moving that same $1 million. So you're there for that one. But the demand is anywhere from $70 to $80 million. So a $10 million drop in the budget. What do you do and how do you move? Hold on. This is our nightmare. If we do just a simple 40 million on a 20-year term, yes, I know you do 30 years and 40 years and all that, but people understand a 20-year term or a 30-year term based on their home mortgage rate. So if you do a 40 million term at 5% USDA, your P&I over the 20 years is going to be $61 million. Your annual debt payment will be $3,050,000 a year. You will have to double your rates or increase your water rates by 103% just to pay the debt. That's why I put that line down there. The need to consolidate is real. It's not an option. You got to figure out how do you have a sustainable water and sewer system with 4,000 customers. You can't do it by charging them twice as much or raising the rates by 103%. You can't do it. You've got to have growth in the customer base to spread the cost over more customers. Or you got to have, 80,000 customers that you're a part of. That's where the end, okay? Not just trying to go on your own with 4,000 customers. Repeated here, just for a little bit of clarity, because it gets you to thinking again. All of you will recall, I sent this out to you, what does it say, 11/19 last week. So, this all started in October of 2024. It hasn't let up. It's been a continuous process, continuous conversation about what we're doing. So, I know it's hard, so let me read it to you. I'm sorry, I know that the audience probably can't see it because it's small. I basically took a little excerpt out of our rate study that says that the rate should be this, and it said you needed to take and calculate economic development in the town of Spring Lake is expected to attract a large number of industries in the future. Potential industries and their water and sewer requirements were analyzed to determine the impacts to the town. Out of the industries currently in discussion with the town, 7 industries with an expected flow around 560,000 GPD were determined to be more than likely to locate themselves in Spring Lake by the town's economic development. 3 of these industries are expected to be heavy water users with demand expected to be 100,000 GPD or greater. 3 of the remaining 4 industries will also be classified as heavy industrial users with demands of approximately 50,000. Above the line, I simply suggested that we need to reserve 350,000 gallons per day of sewer capacity and of water capacity. So I met with PwC on November the 12th. And the topic of that conversation is what is going to be the long-term demand for water from Spring Lake. What's the ask from PwC? Our current agreement is for 13 million gallons a month, and we're exceeding that by about 24 million on average a month. So we've got to change that agreement, we've got to change that math and figure out what that looks like, because if we don't have water, you don't have growth. period. That's the innovation transfer conversation. If you cannot have more water, then you have sewer capacity. So you have to think about this in terms of how both of those assets work together to create an economic future for the town of Spring Lake. Let me say that again. How both of those assets work together to create an economic future for the town of Spring Lake. All right? How do you create an economic future? 350 capacity. More data. Our current sewer capacity. We are rated at 1.5 million gallons per day. We're using 752,000 is the average flow. You just say 800,000, whatever math works for you. And if you follow the 80%, 90% rule as recommended by everybody in terms of development, permitting of sewer plants, it says that when you reach 80% capacity, you need to start planning for an expansion. When you're at 90% capacity, you need to be digging the dirt. All right, just keep it that simple, right? Digging the dirt. The bottom math, there's the 1.5 million capacity. At 80% capacity, that's 1.2 million. All right? We're currently operating at about 800,000 capacity. So that means we got an available capacity, what's left in our sewer system not being used, of 448,000 gallons per day. So of that 448,000, I just suggested we need to reserve 350,000 for heavy industrial users for economic development. Think jobs. All right? I don't have an interest, and I'm not suggesting that you maintain 350,000 gallons per day so that you can create jobs in retail. Okay? That doesn't pay. Right? You need something that's going to have, industrial base, something that's going to actually generate some of those, some of that income so people can live, work, and play in Spring Lake. You got to have housing for them. You got to have all kinds of different things. So there's that commercial reserve for the new growth, 350. This is where it really gets fascinating when you actually do the math. So we have 84 vacant commercial properties, according to our records. Okay? 84 vacant commercial properties. I forget the number for vacant residential, but I got it here a little bit later to kind of speak to you. But you'll see those numbers. For vacant reserve, just 1,000 gallons per day, right? Means that I need to reserve 84,000 for that vacant that's already here. They're going to want water and sewer, right? And then if we have any vacant residential, we got to do that. They're all over the place. Y'all know that we've got over 100 properties listed as blighted properties. And so we've been going around to avoid the theft of water or the leakage of water. We remove the meters and cap the pipes. Okay? We've got to do it. What that suggests is that right now, if you look at just trying to reserve some commercial growth, 350,000 gallons per day, and the vacant reserve capacity, we are 98,000 gallons per day in the hole. Okay, now that's not technically correct, and I'll be the first one to tell you that, right? It depends on how you look at how you roll it out. For example, instead of that 350,000 for commercial, if you said, okay, we're going to allocate that 200 gallons per day for residential, now we can build 1,750 more residential units in the town of Spring Lake at the cost of commercial development or at the cost of the vacant. How do you do the math? You got to think of all of those things when you're thinking about that rate structure and what you're trying to do. Top users report, courtesy of revenue, and I broke them down. Not that it matters, you can break them down in 10 different ways you want to. But I did the first one up there. If you look at the top, it says bulk rate versus capacity. We are, in this particular case, that date range is October. So if you look at this Overhills, Wellens Overhills out there, Manchester Road, the usage for the month of October was 1,193,000 gallons. And they paid a bulk rate for that, not a rate that our residents pay. They paid a bulk rate, a much cheaper rate. Now, if you're tracking that, and if you look at it from this perspective, what you're doing is taking water out of Spring Lake and sending it outside the town limits at a reduced cost. Yeah, that just doesn't have to work, okay? So then you start looking at this other piece, and you start looking at apartments, GPD. Now, these are just a way of me trying to talk about a little bit normal distribution. When you look at all these numbers, you know you're gonna have a low end outlier, you're gonna have a high outlier, and then everybody else is gonna fall somewhere in the middle, the average or the mean. And so when you look at our apartments, just in this top 25 list of users, right? The high outlier was 50,000 gallons per day, the low is 4,830, and the mean or the average is 29,000. So if someone says, I want to do an apartment complex with 250 units, 260 units, to me, you need to be thinking about an allocation of sewer capacity of at least 30,000 gallons per day. Multiply that by 30 days, and you'll figure out what your sewer capacity is. But that 30,000 allocation is coming right off the top of your 1.2 million, okay, per day. You got to be thinking in those terms that you, every time you do something, right, what impact it's having on your sewer capacity. Motels, Comfort Inn, 121, 1,121,000, all right, for that month of October. Sleep Inn, 426. Trinity Development, that's the Marriott. Forgive me, I can't remember the name of that one now, but Courtyard. Okay, it is the Courtyard. And Hampton's down there at the bottom. But for the motels, the mean is 16,000. All right, the average gallons per day. For the apartments, 29,000 gallons per day. Okay? These are the economic decisions that you are facing. They are ultimately economic decisions. Okay? What pays the taxes? What pays the water usage rates? How do you fund these, the system? And finally, restaurants and a retail. Notice that the Cookout is a high outlier at 13,000 gallons per day. And then you look at the bottom down there, and you got McDonald's at about 4,000 gallons per day. When people say we need better restaurants, I don't think, not in a bad way, that that's what they have in mind. Okay? But you can see where the franchise, whether it's McDonald's or whoever it may be, are users of this volume of sewer. And you got to be thinking about that in terms of this is what will be long-term, Mayor, with the group on economic development. When you start talking about economic development incentives, you know, what are you really giving away, and what are you getting in return? And you got to think about this from your sewer capacity, and even your water allocation as well. The retail down there at Walmart, 5,000 gallons per day. Now, and you'll see other ones in there too as you go forward. But you know, when we look at this, I got a top 100 list. So basically, there's a lot more residential when you get closer to the 100, and a lot more commercial properties when you get in that top 25, to include apartments. Now, I want you to keep in mind and think something. A lot of states do not treat apartments as residential; they treat them as commercial enterprises. Okay, the businesses, and so they're taxed a little bit differently as well. Just keep it in mind. There's the vacant accounts. 564 residential vacant accounts across Spring Lake. 564 vacant meters. Right? 84 commercial accounts. That's where that number comes from. You'll see 1,000 GPD is an allocation for commercial, but if you go back and you look at those, you can see 1,000 is probably woefully low. Okay? So, what happens if everybody opens up the old vacant 564 residential? It starts taking 112,000 capacity. Once again, these numbers are not absolute, they're not accurate, they're just simple, keep it simple. So you have some way of evaluating and reviewing what your capacities are and what your limitations are. So, the proposed water rates going forward for the 3,000 for the average customer is changing the flat rate minimum to 11.76, and the per 1,000 gallon Lake to 1041, Lebanon started 71, 1302, 1432. Basically, the average customer with a 10.5% increase using 3,000 gallons of water would realize a $4.09 increase in their water bill only. There is no recommendation at this time to adjust the sewer. That may come, but not at this time. It's water bill only, because all we're adjusting to at this point is the water rate increase from PWC. So there's no reason for us to take and start thinking about the sewer side of it as well, or having an equal increase on the sewer side. So that is our recommendation, for all the reasons associated with capacity, maintaining, fixing, repair, sustainability of our system. I can tell you that when the water main breaks on Odell Road and people aren't getting water, they're getting the app, they're getting the emails, they're getting the social media, what's going on, what's happening. Everybody wants their water to work when they cut it on. And when it don't, it's a problem. It's a problem for me, I'm sure it's a problem for you, a problem for everybody. But when they cut it on and it works, they also want to make sure it's clean. Make sure it's treated, make sure all of those things come into play. And so to do that, we have to address head-on not only the treatment capacity of it, return it back to the Cape Fear so that we can draw it back out of the Cape Fear, treat it, clean it, make it drinkable, and by the same token, make sure that when it's reliable and sustainable into the future, because water is in and of itself, with the sewer capacity, the economic future for the town of Spring Lake. And we have got to continue to address these issues. Failure cannot be an option. So we have to move forward. So that is staff's recommendation specifically. I will say my recommendation, and I don't want to hang around staff, is that recognizing that there is a 21% cost increase and we're still trying to fix and repair and plug all these holes, I think it would be fiscally irresponsible for me as the manager not to recommend a rate increase to adjust that. And that's where I'm at.
Okay. Well, I do have one question about the vacant properties. If you could let us know, is there a plan
Yes.
for those vacant properties?
We're working, this is a little bit separate issue, but it's also the same. I've had discussions with Cumberland County Planning in regards to trying to develop what's called a Uniform Development Ordinance, or UDO. The idea behind that is you also begin to address these vacant properties and what do you do with them over time. So if you have a vacant property, building is in here, and as well, if you have a vacant property that exists for 90 days, 180 days, that could become known as an abandoned property. So when you remove that meter, right, and then it exists as a vacant property for up to 180 days, now it's an abandoned property. In order for it to get the water back, they got to bring it up to code, and they have to pay what's part of our system development fees. So our consulting engineers are hoping to have our system development fees in place by December. You probably won't hear it until January at this point. There's no doubt about it. But what that does is that new growth has to pay for upgrades, and in some cases it can be as high as $6,000 per unit. I've seen $6,000 per unit, $4,000, but a simple $2,000 per unit. If you multiply that by, somebody help me do the math, Jim, do the math for me, 200 apartments at $2,000 a piece, whatever that works out to be, that's a lot of money that goes back into the system to upgrade. So if I had to expand our sewer plant by 1 million gallons per day, 1 million gallons per day, I'm looking at $20 to $30 million. We have to control and hold on to that sewer capacity. So we need to have these vacant structures identified, pull the meters, and another thing that I would recommend as part of the plan is discontinue carrying water or sewer outside the town of Spring Lake city limits, period. I know you might have reasons that you want to, but the capacity of our sewer has been bought and paid for by our residents in Spring Lake over and over and over again. Those people who live outside the city limits and are getting that sewer or that water are only paying a bulk rate, and they're getting it very, very cheap.
And it limits our growth.
It does. You take it outside the city limits. Your
Mayor
option.
Pro Tem?
Thank you. You mentioned the, asset inventory assessment. Do we have that in the, completed?
It also should be part of the completion as part of this system development fee. So we're right there at it. That's the
Development fees, did we talk about bringing that first of the year?
Yeah, we're trying to get them completed. Actually, we met with our consulting engineers to get it to you the first of the year. Actually, we wanted it before December.
Now,
But it's complicated.
you've mentioned 2,000 a couple.
I'm going a number.
Okay.
That's all I'm doing.
It needs to be higher than 2,000.
Yeah, it's basically, it has to be set based on the demand. It's not just something you can say, oh, I want it to be this, I want it to be that. There's actually a mathematical formula that they have to use to come up with that number. It has to be justified, it has to be defensible.
So, what I'm hearing a lot of is we really need to be wise about what we approve here. You know, I'm not talking about the water rate, I'm talking about future development in the town. You know, we have to be picky about what apartment complexes or commercial properties we approve. Not everything's at our discretion, but that's eating away at that. I believe you said we're trying to save 350 gallons for capacity.
Yes.
You know, 350,000 gallons of capacity, new apartments eat away at that. You know, every development we do eats away at that, so we have to be very wise about what we do approve. Do we have any idea how much we have in our water fund this fiscal year so far? It's only a couple months in.
Fund balance, about 5 million. We're at 100%. Yeah, we've actually met that target, hands down. We've done very well with that. But it's getting ready to get dropped down a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Just to be clear, anything, you know, you threw up an example of $40 million for the things we gotta take care of as a loan. LGC would have to approve that, though, right?
That's correct. LGC Local Government Commission, we went and asked for $700,000 to buy police cars, something of that nature this year, this budget year. They declined that.
Right.
I don't
We
think
didn't
they're
give
gonna
the
look at
reason why.
Yes, because
But
they haven't got our audits.
we were not up to date with our audits,
Right.
and we had just got control back from the LGC. So, it'll be some time before I think we'll be approved for another loan anyways. That's my commentary on that. Let's see. And didn't we already approve higher rates for customers outside of town limits?
Yes, they're double the, water rates and sewer rates. That's the standard practice, across the state. And so, when you hear me talk about $38.90 for a water customer inside Spring Lake, double that, that's what a water customer should be paying outside of Spring Lake. And we do have some of those that pay double water rates and double sewer rates.
Why is Wellens Overhills not part of that?
Because they were part of an agreement many years ago where they did it at a bulk water rate. I would not suggest that we move toward a bulk sewer rate. I think that would be detrimental to our system.
Is that agreement amenable?
We just amended it, to change it to $5 and something per, let me just be clear about this. Right now, Cumberland County is in negotiation to purchase the Wellens water system. Cumberland County is in agreement with us, and they're giving our the sewer from Overhills. So the water, Wellens, is for Overhills. The sewer coming from Overhills is coming into our sewer plant. Both of them, I think, were bad moves.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner
And-
Cortez, I'm sorry, go ahead, I'll let you finish.
My last question, the obvious one, we're looking at a rate increase effective July 1, and so why are we talking about doing this for February 1?
It just helps us absorb the cost associated with that 21%, and we get it up and running a little bit, so it allows us to not do, forgive me for not knowing the rate off the top of my head, but there's another rate, higher rate, if we wait till July. We don't get to recover some of that cost in advance.
Yeah, I just think it's too early. Thank you, Mayor.
I did wanna just make a clarifying statement with the capacity.
Yeah.
The apartments wouldn't eat the reserve capacity that, Mr. Roy was suggesting we reserve. That was reserved for industrial development,
So to get to, where are we currently in reference to the 80% we need to be at?
We got 488,000 capacity available, give or take a few. And so anything that you approve, if you take 200 apartments and they consume 200 gallons per day, that's 40,000 gallons per day. And so that's how you start talking about that sewer.
The 488,000, eat away at that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Palacios? Excuse me, Commissioner Blackman.
It's in the green.
No.
Oh, God. Thank you, Mayor. To our residents out there, going at it alone has not worked for us. We're trying to work smarter. And there's a lot of moving pieces to that. And I happen to be on that committee that's doing this. So, Janine can attest that I've had some sleepless nights as we're trying to figure this out, struggling with raising rates. You all hear us say that when we do this, we raise our own rates. And so that's one of the things that we struggle with. But if we don't fix these leaks, we're just wasting that water away out into the ground, and we're still paying for that. April, we had a high of 946,000 gallons. November, Chief Williams and the crew, thank you all very much. You all got that down to 623,000 gallons. Mr. Roy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was a $40,000 savings.
Yes.
Not really a savings, but it's money that
We're not wasting.
We're not taking it out of one pocket or the other.
So, as we look at that, folks, I'm struggling on this as well. I hate to look at that with the increase. I agree with Commissioner Palacios as we look at this rate increase, but if we don't do something, we won't be a town that will be able to thrive or survive. So, we've got to fix these leaks. We've got to get this done. We've got to replace these meters. Over the years of not doing anything has put us into the place where we're at today. So it's a hard decision to make. Hey, that's all I have to say.
All right, we're in the business of tough decisions, but we have to make the decisions that are best for the long-term existence and growth of Spring Lake. So, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, you mentioned that you were considering not providing that water to Overhill at a certain point, is that correct?
That would be a board's policy decision. You would have to enter into to decline or move out of the agreement. But Cumberland County is considering purchasing that.
Okay.
So, I think that these agreements have been around since 2014. It's way past time for us to analyze and assess whether or not we should cancel those agreements. I made a specific recommendation when it came to the sewer, that we should cancel the sewer agreement and give them 2 years notice that we're no longer gonna be providing sewer services to Overhills effective 2027.
Okay, and, how much of our what percentage of our water capacity are we giving them?
Well, that's another problem with the agreement. Right now, and this is from the head, and I'm getting older too, so it's hard for me to keep all that stuff going in there. But that sewer agreement is for 314 hookups. Okay? So think 314 taps. Currently, only 80 have tapped into it, which means they have an agreement that allows for another, whatever that math is, 220-ish, 230-ish, to tap into it. So they haven't even tapped into the whole reserve yet. What that number is, mathematically, I can't remember now on a monthly basis what it is, but it's enough.
Okay.
So you think of it as 80 units, and 200 gallons at least per day, that's what it's gonna be on a monthly basis. 200 by 80 is 160, whatever.
Okay.
So again, this is reserved capacity that's not being used, and it's reserved for non-tax paying residents. It hurts our heart to not, be able to take care of people, but we won't take care of other people at our expense. So again, it's a very tough decision because we're talking about changing the way Overheels is receiving service from the town totally. But again, we have been put in charge of our tax dollars and we have to make sure that we are doing right by us. So again, I said it, and Commissioner Lackman said it again, I say it all the time, we pay the same rates you guys are paying, and the same way I don't wanna subsidize my money to pay for other people, I don't want you to do the same thing. And that's what we've been doing, and we have to do something or Spring Lake does not grow. And that's just the bottom line. So I would, if there's any further discussion from the board, Commissioner Palacios?
I want to make sure I have my numbers right. The 50, you said it was 50% that we were not billing for last year. I remember that. Did you, on one of the slides, say 30% now?
That was the, when we started 30%, and we're still not billing for around 50% of what we actually purchased.
Okay. Because of all the replacements and the repairs and fixes and.
I don't think it's a leak problem, I think it's a meter problem. At the end of the day, you got 4,000 customers, you read meters, they never read as accurate as the day that you put them in there.
And we have stopped quite a few though from leaks. Okay, and then last year we approved a 17% rate, and this is a 10%, 27% in 1 year. Higher rates, thank you.
And again, this rate increase is coming from PWC. It's not Spring Lake just hiking our rates up. That 21% is coming from the water we purchase, and we're only increasing 10.5%. So it's not, again, we have to make sure that the utility operates as a business. It needs to be a self-funding utility, and that's why we have to raise rates. Because we're paying more, we have to increase our rates. And again, on average, a water customer will realize, not sewer, water will realize about a $4.09 increase per month on the water bill, not sewer, just water. So again, that's PWC increase rates, we have to do the same. Is there any further discussion? I'll now entertain a motion to approve or deny the increase of the water rates to cover the increased costs from PWC effective February 1, 2026. Is there a motion? Commissioner Palacios?
Motion to deny the water rate increase.
Is there a second? Commissioner Chapman?
I second.
To deny.
To deny.
Any discussion? Again, we deny this increase. How are we supposed to maintain? Commissioner Palacios?
So the increase isn't until July. That's number one. So we save the town citizens a couple dollars every month until then. We've also added a capital project fund for $500,000 that we approved last year when we decided to increase it by 17%, also on the heels of another PWC increase. So it isn't about really limiting growth for Spring Lake. It's an issue that has to be resolved, but this isn't the time.
How do we resolve it if we don't increase rates to match the increase that's coming to us?
Because this money isn't going towards, the main issue I think that Mr. Rory is saying, presiding, is the capacity for the sewer. For that seems to be the argument that he's making for growth. If we limit the development of future projects because we have a capacity issue with the sewer and the water treatment plant, then that's where our issue is. Raising the water rates doesn't help our sewer needs.
But we're paying for water. The cost to us is increasing to the town, and the utility fund has to operate as a business. if we don't increase our rates that we're charging our customers, then we take on that expense and we end up back in the situation that we were in. That $500,000 that came from the original increase, Mr. Rory showed you how that money's already spent.
Yeah, and if we raised it $100, it still wouldn't be enough to cover all the expenses that come with repairing the sewer system.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
I've only got 3 votes.
I'm gonna have to vote nay.
Commissioner Johnson?
Just clarification, Commissioner Blackman, are you voting nay for the motion to deny, or, just so we're clear, or nay for the
The
water?
motion was to deny the water increase, so that nay vote goes to stop the denial.
I stand corrected. I go along with Commissioner.
Can we redo this vote, please? I will now entertain a motion to approve or deny the increase of the water rate to cover the increased cost for PWC effective February 1, 2026. All in favor of the denial that Commissioner Palacios? Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
The motion carries to deny the increase of the water rates to cover the increased cost from PWC. All right, we will now move on to agenda item 8E, which is the certificate of sufficiency from Hennick Properties. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. So the last board meeting, the board adopted a resolution directing me to investigate the sufficiency and for staff to conduct a feasibility study of the request made by James and Hannah at 1523 North Bragg Boulevard. I did find the petition request to be sufficient. I also conducted the feasibility study, and everything is in place where it should be. Even though we don't currently protect or provide fire, police, or sanitation services, that would be no problem since it is in the middle of the town limits, right there between Manchester and Gun Plus.
Any discussion from the board? Questions, comments? All right, we'll now move on to agenda item 8F, resolution 2025-19, a resolution fixing the date of public hearing on questions of annexation pursuant to GS 16831 and rezoning from R10 residential to CP plans commercial. Madam Alford.
Thank you, Mayor. So on the screen here, this is the map of the annexation that is wanting to be done. Right here, the blue is 1523 North Bragg Boulevard. To the left, or excuse me, to the right and white, that is currently all town property. So, and right here is Guns Plus. Excuse me. So that's Guns Plus. This property right here between Guns Plus and the one to be annexed is still currently county property. So like I said, the one shaded in blue is requesting annexation and rezoning from R10 residential to commercial planning. This is a layout that Ms. Hickman received from the engineers. Here's, of course, on the right is East Manchester, where the old I guess tobacco shop on the corner of East Manchester and 87 North Bragg Boulevard. They're wanting to turn that into a convenience retail with gas service. The other properties to the left of it, he stated it'll be, you know, the ones closer to the county will be multiple tenants, probably retail or quick service restaurants. So the next slide, as you can see, where the property on the corner East Manchester and 87 and towards the blue is already zoned for CP, commercial property. So the one in blue, like I said earlier, is R10, they want to convert it to CP. I already have the public hearing set for January 12th, the first meeting in January. You know, by general statute, I have to do a 10-day, no less than 10 days public notice hearing in the newspaper. I already have it submitted to Fayetteville Observer to go out December 31st. Also, I have been doing a lot of research regarding doing the rezoning, because normally we go through Cumberland County. However, we have our police policies that the board can do is do a rezoning and an annexation at one public hearing. So I do not have any public hearing notice signs, because you have to put one in the property that wants to be rezoned. So I got with Ms. Pittman about that. She stated we do not have any, since we normally use Cumberland County. So that is my next step, is to get a sign made and have it put out there. Says no more than 25 days. So what I'll do is I'll keep it kind of aligned with my public hearing notice. And I also have all the addresses for the abutting properties to send them the public hearing notice. So I am requesting today for you to give me approval to go ahead and set the public hearing notice for January 12th, 2026 for the current board members and the new board members here today.
So I'll now entertain a motion to approve, and thank you for all of that work, because I know it's been a lot, and you've been working on this one.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, this is my very first annexation. Thank you to Ms. Hickman, because she has helped me a little bit. Thank you to Sean. I rely on him heavily on this. I'm a little nervous, but I'm super excited that I'm actually finally getting my first one, because we've denied one already. So.
I want you to think of a couple things. Couple things.
Oh, you wanna ask?
Yeah, I'll use the top.
Oh, go for it, Mr.
Back up, Carly. It speaks to this issue. Show me the development proposal.
Right here.
That's at the corner of what and what?
East Manchester 87.
And it's for what?
Commercial, the land right here, let me put the mouse,
Yeah, there you
right
go.
in here is going to be convenience retail with gas service.
Okay, and what to the left?
He said these will be multiple tenants that would probably be retail or quick service restaurants.
Okay, and so is the gas on the corner of Bragg and East Manchester?
Yes, across the street.
Permitted by right in the CP? That means is it allowed in that zoning category, right?
Yes.
So now if you annex something and change the zoning from R to CP, what's gonna be permitted by right in there, or is it gonna be some type of conditions associated with it? So those are the thinking and the thoughts that you need to have as part of this public hearing. I just want to stress that. Right now, it's going to be this. It's going to be whatever's permitted by right if you add it, it's only based on that with the CP. I just want that in the back of your head. Because back to the sewer capacity, this is a gas station, retail, right? It doesn't create, and so it's gonna consume some of that capacity, right? And so then, and then we've already beat that dead horse, so here we go. I just wanted you to think about that in terms of the annexation and zoning.
Absolutely. All right, I'll now entertain a motion to approve resolution 2025-19. Commissioner Chadwick. Is there a second? Commissioner Pacios?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we are now on to our reports. So I will begin by saying happy early Thanksgiving. Please note that Town Hall will be closed on both Thursday and Friday in honor of this holiday. So please keep that in mind. So it's been a really busy week, past week for me. I was invited to the United States Global Leadership Conference, or excuse me, by the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition and the Council on Foreign Relations invited me out to DC, where we were invited to Capitol Hill, and we were asked also, our brains were picked. They wanted to make sure that mayors understood that the decisions that are made globally all land right here in our laps, and our voice is often overlooked when these decisions are being made regarding tariffs, regarding our military associations. And so they wanted to bring mayors from across the country. They ranged in capacity from the deputy mayor of Los Angeles down to a very, very small town in Connecticut. And they allowed us to see the value in what we do here and how it plays a part on a global scale. I was also invited to join the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition Advisory Team, so that advisory board, that also puts Spring Lake on a national platform, a global platform, to where we can bring back more resources, more information and connections to our town. So that's something I'm super proud of. And I can't wait to see how we can continue to forge these relationships, both within our state, and our country, and across the world, because it all benefits us right back here in Spring Lake. We were also able to host our RULAC membership meeting here this past week, which is always a pleasure, and they wanted to make sure they highlighted how beautiful our boardroom is, which is a big deal because this was a labor of love by our staff. Our managers, police, fire, all of them put their blood, sweat, and tears into this boardroom. I also got a chance to hear back about Lillian Black and the feasibility study that our UNC Chapel Hill grad students have put forward. Now we will get a formalized, fingers crossed, because they're literally going to work over Christmas break to bring us back the actual information, what we did. We got myself, Mayor Pro Tem, and Mr. Roy were able to sit in on their class presentation where they showed us how Lillian Black could be used, and the potential that that building has, and not just the building, but all of the land surrounding it. And it is very beneficial for the town should we be able to work with the county to get this thing revitalized and potentially sold to a private developer, some public-private partnership. But Lillian Black is an extreme asset, and I cannot wait to present the actual findings to the town, because what they showed us was nothing short of spectacular, and it actually falls within the wheelhouse of working with a community champion, a community partner, to develop that area, maintaining its historical beauty, but making sure that it's repurposed and revitalized and becomes a working asset for the town. We have our focus group meetings coming up, and this is the Economic Development Task Force Focus Group 4. This meeting will be in conjunction with Focus Group 3, and this is happening tomorrow, right here at 5:30. This meeting is open to the public, so for those who want to have a part in what's happening in the town of Spring Lake, you're concerned about Main Street revitalization, you want to know about these businesses and industries and have a say in what's going to come to our town, these are the places that you need to be at. Come and provide your input. We need you to be a part of these. We also have our Christmas tree lighting coming up on the 5th of December from 6 to 8 p.m. It'll be right out here, right outside of Town Hall. You guys know this is always a really, really, really good time. And I hope that you all come out and sing some carols with us. Maybe we'll get our resident celebrity vocalist that's right here on our board to sing us a couple of carols. We just found out today that he's one of Commissioner Lackman's top 5 male vocalists of all time, and I second that. He's number 1. He's my top 2. That's my number 1 vocalist right there. So we appreciate you, and we plan on putting you on the spot again on December 5th. And finally, our inauguration is happening on the 8th of December, and it will not be here, so our board meeting will be held across the street at the rec center, same time, but it'll be across the street. So make sure if you're coming to the board meeting, to the inauguration, it will be across the street on the 8th of December, regular board meeting time. And that is all I have. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, as the mayor mentioned, Focus Group 3, Healthy Community, will be meeting in conjunction with, Focus Group 4. That's tomorrow at 5:30, and we do need, we would love more input from the community, because this affects every one of us. And, that's all I have. Commissioner Thompson?
I got a chance to, attend the Spring Lake Ministerial Alliance, annual Thanksgiving dinner, last week. They had a potluck service at, Bethel Church, and it was a nice service, and also I'd like to say, thank you for the flowers that I received from the town of Spring Lake, from the pastor of my father. That's all I have.
Commissioner Blackman.
Mayor, you know I couldn't be over too, so
Yes.
I've got a few things to say.
Go for it.
Operation Turkey, Thanksgiving Day, here at Town Hall. Town Hall will be closed, but for Operation Turkey, we will be having 1,000 meals here that will be provided to our people. Please come in. If you know anybody that's in need or would like a Thanksgiving meal, you should have nothing to eat on Thanksgiving. So Operation Turkey out of Fayetteville has done. Isaac, who was here earlier, he is the one that spearheaded it last year. He's also been the one that's been working at it this year. So we will have meals. We do have some drinks if people would like to donate some beverages, non-alcoholic beverages, and some desserts to go along with the meals. We will be passing those out here. So we do have that will be done here at Town Hall.
What time?
10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or until the meals run out. So at 10 a.m., we do have some volunteers that will be coming in and assisting us with that. So I want to tell them thank you in advance for doing this. Police, fire, our members that are working on duty, please come over and get a meal. Thank you. Mayor, you know I got to talk about cleanup. Mr. Overton talked about the work that people have done. It was town staff. It was also, we had an Army unit. We had the Delta Company, 2nd of the 82nd, that come in and help. So December 5th, I'm going to go over there and present them with some well-deserved certificates. 27 people helped clean up 99,000 pounds of debris off of that blighted property. So kudos to them. Got that going. Armand, tomorrow we've got our NVAC meeting here with our full complement. We've got a competing time slot. Ours is at 6 o'clock, so we may be meeting back in the mayor's office or somewhere back there.
6:30.
6:30, right. But Thursday's 5:30 over here. And Focus Group 1, we're meeting Wednesday. Going over the sewer and the water, and we will be here as well. Is that right, Carly?
Yes, sir.
Wednesday? Yep.
5:30? I believe it is 5:30. I would have to check the calendar.
Okay. And lastly, the seeds that we've been planting over the last 4 years is going to provide some shade for the incoming board members, to our residents, the hard work that has been done over these 4 years. Hopefully you all will bear that fruit from the labor of love from our town staff, our employees, this board. So that's all down there. Thank you.
Mr. Vasquez.
I have nothing, thank you.
What?
I will charge you for singing though.
Commissioner Campbell.
Okay, on November 13th, I attended Manchester's Literacy Night, and the students, they showcased their literacy skills by reading their favorite books and also by playing games. They were very engaged, and I enjoyed reading with the students. And then on November 19th, Adrian and I, we had an opportunity to go to T. Brown and judge the Disguise and Turkey contest. And when I tell you they were very creative and innovative, we had minions and oh my goodness, Santa Claus, but they were very, very creative, and I was very proud of the students. And then lastly, you still have an opportunity to help Spring Lake Middle. As you know, we have a PTA now, and we need your help. So if you are interested in becoming a member of the PTA, please let myself know, or you can go to the school and sign up, because it supports the schools, the students, the teachers, and it brings community engagement. So if you're interested in joining the PTA at Spring Lake Middle, please, by all means. Thank you.
Okay, just one caveat. The focus group one meeting is next Thursday at 4 p.m. Correct?
No, next Thursday, the 4th at 6:30.
That's why she knows what's
I
happening.
have on here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Awesome. Mr. Rory?
I'm thinking I could be here the next 2 nights too. I don't have anything in
Awesome. Mr. Porter?
Just briefly, because I'll be, traveling outside the country when y'all have the inauguration, so to speak, yeah, fun stuff. But just for a few days, it just happens to coincide with that time. But, this will probably be my last chance, at least while y'all are officially still board members. So, what?
Sorry,
Oh.
I'm thinking to myself, I apologize.
That's okay. I just want to say, Commissioners Chadwick, Blackman, Palacios, it's been an honor. It's hard to believe, it's been a little over 3 years, 4 time flies. Y'all see me bigger, skinnier, and bigger again, a lot more gray hair. but in all seriousness, it has been a pleasure. I look forward to welcoming the new board members, but I'll miss y'all.
If there is nothing further, Ms. Autry?
I just wanted to, say, cause I was thinking, I was like, why would it be at 6:30? We have our special meeting the 4th, and then this will follow after.
Got it.
That's why, cause I was thinking, I was like, 6:30?
So do you wanna put those dates out for clarity's sake?
Yeah, so this, which I haven't posted the public notice yet regarding the special meeting, cause I, don't have to do that within 48 hours of the meeting, but I will have it out before that. But at 6 o'clock, December 4th, we will be having a special meeting, for 2 items. One, a, site plan review, and second, the focus group 1 meeting, which also we will have a representative from PwC here.
Well, apparently I will get to see y'all one more time.